It's August 2023, and inside an office in Richmond, Virginia, a group of a half-dozen warriors were completely focused on their computers. Their screens were displaying important military missions that required the utmost of concentration. And for each of them, the stakes were huge. What were they doing? Taking part in a video game tournament.
We were having a company-wide meeting. Mark says, I really want to have a video game tournament. And my hand was in the air before he finished the sentence.
That's Army veteran Jason Parker, who had just joined the staff at Tech for Troops. A nonprofit organization, it provides technology and digital skills training for military veterans and their families. A big tech geek himself, Jason had immediately loved working there, and when its CEO Mark Casper suggested a gaming tournament, Jason knew he had found a bigger purpose.
I was a technical support rep for Xbox. At the time, I was globally ranked in a couple of different games, and I said, okay, it helped me, and this is my plan to have it help other people. And Mark said, all right, well, I'm game to try.
Jason had been through a lot in his life. He had originally enlisted in the Navy, and during his service had been involved in a very traumatic incident at sea. After taking some time, he enlisted in the Army, and during his service there, experienced 3 brain injuries. All of this led to him developing a very serious addiction to opiates and separation from his wife and son. It was during this very dark period that he discovered the power of video games.
And for me, it was finding something that I was intensely interested in and something that would open up lines of communication. But it was being able to reach out, and it was with my son. He moved to Idaho when he was 5. And no kid wants to sit there and talk on the phone about how kindergarten was. But if we booted up Mario Kart and then talked on the phone, well, I couldn't get him off the phone then. And I figured if this works with my kid, this will easily work with the guys from my old units. And it did. It didn't matter what game we were playing. It was just the fact we were together.
So when Jason started to organize the first Tech for Troops gaming tournament, he knew it was something that could make a big difference for those veterans.
It was very successful. We had 7 people show up to actually play, and their families came to watch them. The computers that I found, we gave away as prizes, and the idea became popular, and that's when Mark said, I think this is something that we'd like to have you work on full time. And that was 2.5 years ago, and 27 lives saved.
But there's still one specific moment from that first tournament that stands out for Jason.
We had a 76-year-old woman, veteran, and I walked up to her and I was like, hey, are you here for your son? Here for your grandson? She was like, no, I'm playing. I'm going to win the computer. Yeah, you are, lady. I'm going to make sure you win that computer. And she still comes to some tournaments, and we make sure to include her. I love anybody that's willing to try something new.
Tech for Troops was founded in 2014 by a mother and son who gathered donated computers and distributed them to military veterans in need. A year later, Mark Casper joined the young organization as its president and CEO, and since then has guided it to immense growth. They have created programs that not only distribute refurbished computers, but also provide IT and digital training, oversee a data deletion program used by organizations around the country, and, of course, the new gaming initiative headed by Jason. Over the last decade, Tech for Troops has helped out over 3,000 veterans and their families and helped turn many of their lives around. In today's episode, our hosts sit down with Marine Corps veteran Mark Casper and Jason Game Master Parker to discuss some of the great things the organization does, share some heartwarming and inspiring stories of the lives they've changed, and talk about what technology they're scared of. I'm Carrie Varuhaikis, and this is Army Matters. Cut through the noise with The Economist. Department of Defense employees have free access courtesy of the DoD libraries. Get global, independent reporting on geopolitics, trade, tech, and more to help you make faster, sharper decisions.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lieutenant General Retired Leslie C. Smith, the 66th Inspector General of the United States Army. And I am retired. And I'm here with my best buddy.
You're retired?
I am. Aren't you?
I guess so. I'm the 15th Sergeant of the Army, and I'm retired too. And my name is Dan Daly.
Daniel A.
Daniel A. Daly.
Daniel A. Blue Eyes.
Blue Eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Dan,
Yes.
what is your favorite tech product?
Sharks with laser beams on their heads.
Oh, come on now. For real.
Sure. Favorite tech product? I'm going to be boring because, no, I got Alexa.
That's your favorite tech product?
Yeah. She talks to me and listens.
She talks and listens, doesn't talk back.
Do you know that I don't know if you have Alexa at home, but she's got a new voice now.
Does she? I use Google, but same concept. Yeah.
Yeah. She got a new voice now too. So.
So what does Alexa sound like?
Alexa? Well, the new Alexa sounds younger.
Okay. All right. I'll leave that alone. I have no comment.
Les, how about you? What's your favorite tech product?
Will probably be sound system stuff. I'm a big sound file guy. So you know how every 2-3 years you got to upgrade your stuff. When I first moved into this house, they still had the little cables that you had to put in the back.
Yeah.
And now
You're wireless.
Now it's wireless, right? Throughout the entire house.
Are you Bose guy, or are you a?
I'm a Bose guy. I'm a Sonos guy because it's easy, right? What's your least favorite tech product?
My phone.
Why? Because it continues to give what?
Because it goes off all the time. People bug me. Yeah.
Hold on now. It's better to be bugged than not bugged.
Sometimes.
Okay.
People are just on them all the time, and it drives me nuts. I went to breakfast this weekend with my brother and his son, and I sat there at breakfast and just watched them on their cell phones.
Yeah, they weren't talking to each other. They're on the phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dan.
Yes.
If you asked Alexa what Tech for Troops was, what would it say?
Alexa, what is Tech for Troops? Oh, it's not playing now. Forget it.
Hey, Google, what is Tech for Troops?
A nonprofit organization that helps veterans and their families. They provide refurbished computers, give training in IT skills and computer literacy, and hire veterans for various roles within their organization. Would you like to know more about how they help veterans?
Thanks, Google. That's enough. That's enough because today, Dan, we have 2 leaders who help run Tech for Troops, and they're here to tell us about it.
Yeah, let's bring them on the show. I say all the time, listeners don't just want to listen to us.
How you know that?
They probably do, but we got to be nice to our guests.
I know. We do.
Yeah.
So, Mark Casper and Special Retired Jason Parker, welcome to Army Matters.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
So, gentlemen, we're going to talk about Tech for Troops. That's the nonprofit that you all started. And I want to hear your stories. But before both of you tell those stories, you're both pretty proficient in technology, I suppose. That's why, you're called Tech for Troops, right? So, but is there a product or hardware or anything tech related that you just can't understand or master?
Absolutely. I think there is for me.
Yeah.
It's called a computer. I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay. Jason, what about you?
So I am born in the early 80s. I've been around for the advent of most of the modern technology. But if you put me in front of a Facebook page, an Instagram page, I am completely lost.
So Tech for Troops does data destruction. Now, you have machines to do that, but I think a Marine and then an Army guy take a sledgehammer or something else to destroy a piece of technology. Who's done that before?
Yeah.
Who did?
I mean, sledgehammer means too much work. Yeah. How about something that's like, I don't know, 45 maybe?
What?
A 45?
What's a 45?
Isn't that a type of sledgehammer?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, in the Marine Corps, we carry guns.
Yeah, okay. Just explain to our listeners that the Army carries more guns than the Marines. So come on.
That's supposed to be
Exactly.
Is that supposed to be a
Right.
joke?
Okay.
I had a
think we're
squad.
taking your tanks from you, aren't we?
Yeah.
Are you taking our tanks
exactly.
from
We took
us?
it from
I
you
forgot
guys.
which.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead. Talk
Yeah.
about, you used a 45 to destroy a computer?
I wish.
So let's talk about your military careers and your call to service. Mark, I'd like to start with you. So you come from a military family. As your father and older brother served. What led you to joining the Marine Corps?
You know, I grew up watching the John Wayne movies, you know, the whole 9 yards. But I joined because quite literally I was on the wrong track in life. And my mom came in one Friday night, which I wasn't out partying. I guess I was dying or something that night. And she looked at me and literally standing in the door. I can still see it. My mom standing in the door and me says, "Why don't you do something with your life and join the Marine Corps?" I said, "Okay." And that was it.
So why not the Army? Your family was previously associated with this?
Because I always followed the Marine Corps. I read about the Marine Corps. Right? I had a cousin who served in the Marine Corps who told me, "Don't join unless you're an officer." And I'm like, "Whatever, you're not smart," type of thing. And he was smart. So, you know, I learned my lesson there, get a college degree. I met my wife there. I met her in 84. We got married in 85. We're going into our 40th anniversary this year.
So, Mark, what was the hardest part of your service? Biggest lesson that you learned from it?
Wow, that's a great question. And an honest answer, it was how to keep my mouth shut when I wanted to say something that I didn't. When I was in to get myself in trouble and I decided not to many times. Many times. So the physical part was awesome. The discipline that came from boot camp was amazing. It's what I desperately needed. But at the same time, seeing things that I thought I could do better, I knew better than to open my mouth.
Jason, you also come from a military family. Can you tell us about your grandfather? I understand he was in the Air Force and somehow his color blindness helped him with his service. Can you explain that?
Both of my grandfathers served. When I joined, I very much wanted to be a spy. I know that they aren't all James Bond. I know that you're not, what was the Bourne Supremacy, running, jumping over buildings. I wanted to be counterintelligence, and I scored very highly on the battery of tests till I made it about halfway through boot camp. And they do a color phalanx test. So when they found out that I am colorblind, they said, "Well, that is fantastic. However, you cannot have this job. There may be some point where being able to see colors would be very important." And it turns out that my grandfather, during the conflicts that he was in the Air Corps, he had the same deuteronopic color blindness, and they put him in the back of the plane as a spotter. One of the neat side effects or whatever of having this type of color blindness is that you can pick out camouflage like there's a spotlight on it. Most people don't see camouflage simply because they're used to recognizing things by color. Unfortunately, that's not something the military cares about anymore. We have computers that can do that, and we've got other things that doesn't appeal to anyone anymore. So thanks, Grandpa. I really appreciate that. It's cool that it worked out for you. It didn't so much for me.
So, Jason, you were in the Navy. You left after a traumatic incident. And then a few years later, you joined the Army, the best team. What led you to make that decision?
After I had gotten out and had been out for about 8 to 9 months, I was super bad at being a civilian. Just boot camp worked way too well on me, and I still don't understand civilians all that well. It may be one of my downfalls. And when I decided that I made a mistake, I need to go back in the service because that's the only place I felt where I belonged. The Navy said, "Now you served your 4 years. You only have 16 left to give versus a kid that's brand new that has 20." And the Army said, "Well, you have experience, and we'd like to capitalize on that." So I began talking to the Army recruiters, and when they said combat medic, just medicine is something that I've always been drawn to. And so, yeah, I leapt at the opportunity that the Army gave me to be a medic. And it really, really gave me that drive and purpose.
So I understand that one of the hardest moments for you as a combat medic was delivering a baby. Can you tell us about that?
That was not easy, especially I hadn't done it before. So we were going through and making random patrols. We went through a small village, and there was a woman who had become pregnant. She went into labor in the village. They had no doctors. And it was me. So myself and the translator went over, but then her husband returned while I was beginning to prep. The baby was crowning, and after the child was born and everything was stable, we were forced to leave. But I pray that she's okay. Through my entire service, it was important to me that I could help and I could keep people healthy or get them back to what they were doing and back to contributing the way that was best for everyone. And the ball game gets turned on its head when that's not the case for everyone involved.
Now, Jason, we heard in the teaser how video games and tech for troops helped you during a very dark period. Was that as a result of your brain injuries?
So I screwed up a lot, and I made a lot of mistakes. I was addicted to opiates for almost a decade, and I'm positive that it affected my son and the marriages I went through while doing that. And the Army was done with me, but I wasn't done with them. And so I wasn't sure how to move forward. But had I not done what I did, I don't think I would have sought the help that I did. So I very much regret, and I live with every day the pain that I caused those that were close to me because using drugs to try and blot out the pain that I was feeling. But it was being able to reach out with my son. If we booted up Mario Kart and then talked on the phone, well, I couldn't get him off the phone. And I figured if this works with my kid, this will easily work with the guys from my old units. And it did. And coming on board with Tech for Troops, I mean, they gave me support and a base of communications with which to reach out and offer this to more people.
Be prepared for what comes next. The Economist is free for Department of Defense employees, courtesy of the DoD libraries. Get global intelligence with in-depth articles, podcasts, newsletters, and more on topics from geopolitics to trade and tech. Hey, did you get your AUSA merch yet? Check out our online selection at shop.ausa.org.
Welcome back to Army Matters. Now let's talk about Tech for Troops. Mark, can you tell us about the genesis of the organization and when did you take over?
You bet. So the genesis was there was a Marine living on the founder's and her son's couch. Got out of Afghanistan, couldn't find a job, didn't have a computer, and literally it was, hey, why don't we get him a computer? And that started Tech for Troops. It was actually Tech for Troops project. And then I came aboard in December of 15. From January of 17, we've been growing ever since and added multiple programs. Because at first it was just refurbishing computers, getting them in hands, and recycling. And we recycled over 2,000 tons in the last 10 years. And we're going into our 11th year. So that was the genesis. And I came aboard because I was asked to be the executive director. I had my own company, doing relatively well. And when I was asked to be on the board and I took the visit, it was 750 square feet. And that took about 6.5 seconds. And when we were done, she asked me if I wanted to be the executive director. I said, yeah. And then I went home and told my wife, guess what? I have a new job and I'm not making any money anymore. And she's like, well, this is what you're supposed to do. Let's do it.
Yeah. What was your own business? You said you had your own business.
Consulting. I was project management and IT consulting.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It was, honestly. I thoroughly enjoyed being coming aboard and taking us to the next level. So that bell you just heard, if you hear that, was our doorbell ringing and somebody's dropping off equipment to us.
Nice.
Yep.
So Mark, I want to pull the thread here. How did you decide to leave a very successful career to join a small nonprofit like Tech for Troops?
Right. So most of us who serve in the military do it for altruistic reasons, right? We want to serve. We want to make the world a better place in some way, shape, or form. When I got out, I never felt settled. No matter what I did, no matter how much money I made, and I made great money, right? I made great money and went vacationing all over the place. I never was happy. I hated life. I hated my life, and I had a great life. And when this came into my lap, I believe that, I'm going to say God, but God put me into this position to help other people this way. And literally, when I took the job, my heart settled. And it was just this most awesome feeling that I know I'm going to impact men and women and their children, their families in such a positive way.
Mark, that's really great. And thanks for sharing that with us. Now, you also have a number of programs that you run. First and foremost is computer training for veterans. Can you tell us more about that?
So we actually provide computers and training to veterans and their families. So they come into our training facility right here and they learn how to, one, use a computer. If they already know how to use a computer, and like say they log in, they're on the command line making changes already, but the guy next to them has no idea how to turn it on. And that happens. We ask them, hey, stay and help that person, help your brother or sister with the computer. So that all happens. We teach them personal cybersecurity, financial literacy, and AI safety. And then they also get access to 5,000 free classes online. All that's for free. Computer as well.
Now, what's the most memorable interaction you've ever had with a veteran at Tech for Troops?
Wow, that's can I have two real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So we used to do Saturday classes, and I was the instructor at the time, and meaning we taught vets how to use computers and stuff. And the doorbell rang about 15 minutes after class started, and I got a little angry that somebody's coming in that late to my class. Just like, come on, man, be on time, right? That's what we do. And when he came walking in the door, I was a little Vietnam vet, and he held up a computer, so I'm giving this back. And I said, hold your horses, come on into the class. And I put him up front immediately. And he said his name, and he was a Vietnam vet. And he was giving this computer back to the next veteran because he was able to find a job and he didn't need it anymore. That was just amazing. And it tugged at my heartstrings. The second one was just last year. I went to Fort Jackson in Columbia, South Carolina, and donated 10 computers to active duty and their kids. And this one young woman who got a computer. So the guys, as I can imagine, you guys can imagine, the guys are like joking around. I got a free computer, type of things, right? This is awesome. She just literally stood there almost crying. and held it in her hands and just stared at it. And I watched her for a second, and I put my hand on her shoulder and I said, "This is what we're here for. We're here for you, so you can succeed in life." And she didn't say anything. She just stared at it. And I said, "You call me if you need me." And that was it. But to know that we had such an impact in somebody's life from a tool, I consider a computer a tool, from that tool is truly soul satisfying.
Jason, can you tell us a little bit more about the program you run called GameCore?
Yeah, GameCore is using video games and video game social media to save veterans and their family members' lives. We do have tournaments, but we also, a big part of it is our online presence on Discord. And then we also broadcast on Twitch. So through tournaments, through our online platforms, we're opening up the ways that veterans can communicate and ways that they can pull themselves out of the darkness, and even further, how they can become moderators and streamers themselves to help and save more veterans. The video games, it speaks to the new generation warfighter, and it really pulls them out of that darkness and that isolation that veterans tend to, even active duty, can have that habit of just cutting off completely. Video games are a way that brings them out within their own comfort level. And we are looking to capitalize on that by inserting a little therapy once they've been brought in amongst their brothers and sisters.
So, Mark, you were recently down in Texas, delivering computers to the families of the tragic Hill Country floods. Can you tell us about that trip?
Yeah, so I grew up in Texas, and when that flood hit Texas and the Hill Country there, it truly hit home. And I knew there was going to be a need. And then it just was put upon my heart to go to Texas and to Kerrville and Ingram, actually, and to donate computers. Yeah, we donated 115 computers to flood victims down there. And it was amazing. It was sorrowful. It was happiness at the same time. I mean, there was all the emotions wrapped into one. And actually, at the very end, I had this lady who got some computers from us, and she stopped me and she said, "Thank you so much. You're going to impact the kids who lost computers, or lost their homes, actually, lost everything. You're gonna help them in such a tremendous way." And then she said, and today is the last funeral of a student that passed away. And I wasn't sure what to say then. I just sort of stopped, and I'm sorry. And then I am 99% ready to start a disaster recovery arm for Tech for Troops to help out Americans who are in need. So there'll always be veterans that are in need that we're going to help. And I think we need to help out our brothers and sister Americans because they need it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jason, Mark, it was outstanding to have you on your show, and what a tremendous cause you're doing to help our veterans and help the community and keep our planet green too, right? So we appreciate you having both on the show. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for having us. It was a very enjoyable time.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you.
And I appreciate you listening to this, Marine.
We love Marines. They're in my family, man. Come on. Hoorah.
Hoorah.
Right.
Make confident decisions with global insights. The Economist is free for Department of Defense employees through DoD libraries. Discover independent reporting on geopolitics, trade, tech, and more to help you prepare for change, manage risk, and develop strategies that stand up to scrutiny.
To all our listeners, thanks for joining us. AUSA's Army Matters podcast is brought to you by the Association of the United States Army, the U.S. Army's professional association, member-supported, Army-connected. Visit us at ausa.org for more information or to become a member. Your membership helps AUSA continue to carry out its mission, educate, inform, and connect with the total Army, our industry partners, and supporters of a strong national defense. Today's episode was hosted by Lieutenant General retired Les Smith and SMA retired Dan Daly, and anchor hosted by Carrie Viral-Hackes. Anthony Del Call is the producer and writer, and Andy Bosnack is the associate producer and supervising sound editor. Ellen Toner is the content editor. Unzinga Curry is the executive producer, and the senior producers are Carrie Viral-Hackes and LaSharon Duncan. Be sure to subscribe to the Army Matters podcast wherever you find your podcasts, and please leave a review. As you know, we love seeing stars in the Army, especially if it comes in the form of a 5-star review. AUSA's Army Matters podcast can also be heard on Wreaths Across America Radio on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on the iHeart Radio app, the Audacy app, and the TuneIn app with the search of the word Wreath. For questions or to provide topic recommendations, email us at podcast@ausa.org. AUSA's Army Matters podcast primary purpose is to entertain. The podcast does not constitute advice or services. While guests are invited to listen, listeners, please note that you are not being provided professional advice from the podcast or the guest. The views and opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the views of AUSA. I'm LaSharon Duncan, hoping you have a great Army day. Hooah!